Hey, Coach. Arash Madani, Sportsnet Canada. Jamal does a lot of the visualization, buys into the martial arts stuff. How much of that visualization do you think has helped him kind of become a pro, really see the floor, really kind of help him in his career?
Well, it's first off, it's real. I mean, that's been part of his upbringing through his father, Roger, the martial arts, the meditation, the visualization. And that's allowed Jamal to get to the stage and perform at the level he's performing at. It's allowed him to recover from an injury that had him missed the last two postseasons. So the most important aspect of all that for me is that it's genuine, it's real, and Jamal believes in it, and he practices it. And that allows him to go out there and use it to help his game, help his body, help his mind. And whatever is going to help him put him in the right frame of mind, I'm all for, because we all see what he's doing out there on the biggest stage in the world.
Next row, Mike.
Mike Singer, Denver Post. Michael, to follow up on that, Jamal made NBA history, first player in his first 4 games to have 10-plus assists. Did you see this level of playmaking coming, and what do you attribute? We kind of associate Jamal as a scorer, and yet he has that capability as well.
Yeah, well, I've long said that Jamal is not just a scorer, and that's been my challenge to him, and that should be an affront to him that people just look at him as a scorer, because ever since he became my starting point guard, he is charged with the responsibility of running his team, making every one of his teammates better, on top of being an aggressive scorer looking for his shot, on top of being a rebounder at his size and physicality, as well as being an engaged defender. So the challenge has always been for you to be an all-star, for you to be an all-NBA player, and for you to be the guy that is, along with Nikola, putting this team on your back. It requires commitment and effort all across the board. And I know that he's capable of making his teammates better. He's shown that in the past. And I think it's just constantly striving to become the best version of yourself. And Jamal's definitely really, committed to trying to be the best version. And that's allowing him to be a historical player, the first player to have that in his first 4 final games, whatever it is just incredible.
And the third row.
Hey, Mike. Drafteados from Spain. We have a YouTube channel, and we did a video like 5 years ago talking about the similarities between Denver Nuggets and Golden State Warriors in terms of how you build the team, picking players from the draft like Jamal Murray, Stephen Curry, both selected in the 7th pick, very special players, and then Jokic, Michael Porter, Draymond Green, Clay in the Warriors. And you were obviously an assistant coach in the Warriors just before they started to do really, really well.
They took off when I left. Thanks for reminding me.
Can you tell us if that time in the Warriors helped you to build what you have built here, and if you talk with Steve Kerr about these similarities?
I have not spoken to Steve, about those similarities. Obviously, when I was there, worked for Mark Jackson, worked for obviously Bob Myers, was with Larry Riley at that time. But I think that's one of the real cool things about how we've gotten here. And everybody, every individual, more importantly, every team collectively has to pick a path and stay true to it. And I feel really fortunate that our journey has been one of patience, one of drafting really well, and developing those players, and then adding the right pieces around them. To your point, you add an Aaron Gordon, a KCP, a Bruce Brown, whatever it may be. So, but everybody wants to do it differently. Some teams want to mortgage their future and try to go get the surefire player, the all-star. And for us, there's never been a rushed mentality, and that starts with their ownership. The Kroenke family has been phenomenal since day one, allowing this thing to kind of play itself out and not overreacting to little bumps in the road. And I think there are other teams in this league that are looking at how we've done it, smaller market teams, how we've done it. And I think more teams will try to, make this a blueprint. And, it's not for everybody. This was the best course for us, and it's allowed us to get here. But once again, we still have a lot of things that we need to accomplish in order for us to become world champions. And we know tomorrow night is going to be a hell of a challenge.
Next row back.
Hi, Michael Malone, Christian Palotie, Sanoma Media, Finland. Kind of a coaching clinic question, but there's this school of thought in Finland, at least, that successful defense is built around trust and courage. You got to be to be courageous. You got to have trust in your teammates that they'll have your back, and to build trust, you got to have commitment defensively. When you started building this team's defensive identity early on in the season, which did you feed on to first, or do you believe in this type of thought?
I do, but the one word that I think isn't in your Finnish identity, maybe, that we really put a huge level of importance on is communication. And if you just look in our series, I mean, we lost game 2 at home, and we gave up 17 threes that night, and I felt our level of communication was not anywhere where it needed to be. You think about game 1, they made 13. I think game 3, they made 11. Game 4, they made 8 threes. So, yes, you have to trust. That's a big part of our culture. Being courageous is always something that's going to put yourself in a position to be aggressive, and you have to have an aggressive mindset to be an effective defensive team. But if you don't have communication and discipline to go along with that, I think you're going to be missing some really key components. And that's allowed us, I mean, I think in the 3 wins that we've had against Miami, they're averaging 94 points. And their field goal percentage and 3-point percentage are really low. So, and it's going to have to be even better tomorrow evening.
6th row back on the left.
Hey, Coach. Eddie Pels from AP. I know after Game 2 you were very straightforward about the effort issues and getting them in the moment. Now that we're a week later, 2 wins later, how do you feel about the team's response to that and what they're dealing with going in tomorrow with a chance to win it?
I would say regarding the team response, I thought it was outstanding. You know, we went down to Miami, won 2 games on the road, and we did it by playing just great defense. So our guys really bought in and committed to not only playing harder for longer, but also just being a lot more connected and talking our defense and being disciplined. It was 2 great examples in game 3 and 4. My biggest concern going into any closeout game is human nature and fighting against that. You know, you're up 3-1, and you know most teams, when you're up 3-1, they come up for air, they relax, and they just kind of take it for granted that, oh, we're going to win this. And the neat thing for us is that, going back to the bubble, you know, we've been down 3-1 before, and we've come back and won. And we know anything is possible. And that's why, like, my message to our team before we came down to the media in the open portion of practices was, our approach has to be that we're down 3-1. You know, they're desperate, we have to be more desperate. They're hungry, we have to be hungrier. And there is no celebrating after game 4. We have another game that we have to win. And the closeout game is always the hardest game ever. So I'm looking forward to seeing our approach. You know, we had it in game 6 against Phoenix. We had it in game 5 against Minnesota. We had it in game 4 against the Lakers. And my hope is that tomorrow night, in front of just an unbelievable crowd, incredible environment, that our players understand the opportunity in front of them and take full advantage of it.
Jeff on the left.
Jeff Zilgate, USA Today. Michael, you answered a little bit of my question just there at the end, but what are all the things that have happened to the Denver Nuggets over this season and maybe a couple previous seasons that you can treat this just like a regular game, even though it's not, with so much at stake? Yeah,
I mean, it's I really believe in staying in the moment, you know, and you know, once that jump ball goes off tomorrow night, you know, our players, every possession, every moment of that game can't be, we have to win this game. Like, we have to stay true to ourselves, trust what's gotten us to this point. And the message after game 4 of Miami was, you know, everybody's yelling, you know, just one more win. And hey, let's just win the first quarter tomorrow night. Take it in small bites. Take it in small bites. And if you do that possession by possession, quarter by quarter, hopefully when 48 minutes are over, you've done what you needed to do. But this team has been through a lot. Last 2 years, no Jamal Murray. Last season, no Michael Porter. And to get back healthy, to add some key pieces, this is a team that's been tested before and I think is really built for this moment. And our guys are excited for that opportunity tomorrow.
We got last 2 on the right and over here, Joe.
Michael Shaney on Ford Sports. Do you feel like Nikola's selfless approach and how he really doesn't care about his stats, and I guess how calm he is in these moments all the time. Do you think that's trickled down to the rest of the roster over the years?
Yeah, I think 8 years with Nikola, and that was in our culture of being a work team, a selfless team, and a trust team. That was, day one when I got here, and then slowly but surely, culture is not a thing that you achieve and you cross it off your list. Culture is a thing that you have to work on each and every day, or if not, that culture is going to go away. And it just so happens that the two-time MVP and a great player in Nikola has kind of embodies everything. And to your point, when you have a guy that's had the success that Nikola has had, being your hardest worker and being as selfless as he is and trusting as much as he does, well, that allows everybody else to kind of fall in line. And so it's a real luxury as a head coach to have a player that kind of embodies everything that we're trying to do on a daily basis.
Joe, you're in the second row.
Joe Varden at The Athletic. Going back to the conference semifinals in the middle of it, you guys were tied at 2, and you've lost one game since. So I want you, if you would, to go back and remember what the stress level was like and the concern level at that time and how it compares to the moment that you're in now.
There was no stress level. I mean, in that series against Phoenix, we won 2 games at home. They won 2 games at home. And it was, and we realized that we were playing against the team that most people had picked to come out of the Western Conference, understandably so, with the talent level that they had. So I can't say that we were stressed coming home into Game 5. We knew that we had a terrific home court advantage, and our fans would show up, and we would play a lot better. I think now when you go back to Phoenix for a Game 6 and a chance to close it out, I didn't envision us being up by 30 at halftime. But it just kind of speaks to our guys understanding that in the closeout game, we did not rely upon having Game 7 in our pocket to come home and play again in front of our fans. We don't rely upon having 3 games to close out Miami. When you start relying upon things like that, you get yourself into trouble. So that's why I say tomorrow's game, we're down 3-1. This is a must-win for us. And hopefully, if that's the mentality our guys can go out there and play with, we'll put ourselves in a great position.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.